Gratitude for the very breath that we take in this moment. Gratitude that regardless of whatever may be transpiring around us, within us is the fullness of Spirit, all that God is. Be in gratitude for us being fully human, fully divine, trusting and knowing that for every moment that presents itself, we already are and already have all we need to be to transcend, to be the presence of the one power and the one presence that we call God, we call love, we call Spirit, we call oneness, we call all that is. This is who we are, each and every one of us, the embodiment of love. And we celebrate that today. And I celebrate you today. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen and amen. All right. Thumbs up. We're live. We're on. There we go. We just needed to pray. There you go. That's all it took. All right. No, I'm sure it took all the guys back there, Keith, Jim, everyone. Especially Kevin. Oh, Kevin solved it. There you go. Thank you, Kevin. All right. So hopefully those of you online didn't give up and you stuck with us. Welcome to service. And what are we doing? Do we have a congregational? Yeah. We have a congregational. All right. I'm going to go sit down and be quiet now. Go.
Okay. This congregational is called I Am a Light. We haven't done it in a while, but it's very easy. It's basically a call and response. So you basically just need to echo me. So here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I am a light.
I am the light.
I am a light.
I am the light.
In this world.
In this world.
In this world.
In this world.
In this world. This is the place.
This is the place.
This is the time.
This is the time.
Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. I see the joy.
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 In this world.
In this world.
This is the place. This is the time. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. I'm living love.
In the love.
Living day. Living love.
In the love.
Every day.
Every day.
Peace along the way. Right time. Right place. Living love every day. I am a light.
I am the light.
I am a light.
I am the light.
I am a light.
In this world.
In this world.
This world.
This world.
In this world.
This is the place.
This is the place.
This is the time.
This is the time. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
We have one. Just one more. This is called I Cannot Do All the Things That the World Needs. I cannot do all the things that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the things that the world needs, but the world needs all the good I can do. I cannot do all the things that the world needs, but the world needs all the things I can do. And I do all the things that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do.
All right, thank you for that. That was wonderful. My name is Maya, and it's so good to be here. Good to see everybody's smiling eyes. So I will share some transformational opportunities. Our first is that our youth and family ministry volunteer sign-up is available. It is available at the back of the sanctuary, or you can also send an email to the email address that you see on the screen. And next, our SEE updates. So there will be a course called Jesus' Teachings offered by Jane McCarthy on Saturdays in January, starting on January 8th through February 5th. It will be available on Zoom. And then also our C Week is coming up in June. And there's also going to be an informational meeting, and I'm going to let Reverend Jane come and tell us a little bit more about this.
Thank you, Maya. So we were thinking with a lot of new people and everything, it might be nice if we could explain actually what SEE is, which is Unity's Spiritual Education and Enrichment Program. So on December 9th, I thought after Sunday service, for those that are interested, we could do a Q&A and to explain what the courses are, to go over the courses that are in the curriculum, and then to talk about the different paths we can use. Everybody starts out on their own personal path, and then we have the licensed Unity teacher's path, which I'm a licensed Unity teacher, and oh golly. Anyway, we have Bill Sunderland is our other licensed Unity teacher, and we have Carol Plummer is on the path and just about finished up. So we do have things going on that I wanted to share more with our congregation. And then we'll talk about the ministerial path also for those that are interested in that on December 9th. So thank you. Join us.
Thank you. We also have our Angel Tree project coming up to provide gifts to children whose parents are incarcerated at the Clarksburg facility. So you're asked to bring unwrapped gifts to the church no later than December 12th. And there's a link in the newsletter for more information on this. And Edie's gonna say more. And Edie, we were talking beforehand. I have a question, so you can answer it when you come up. The question is, can people just order from Amazon and just have it shipped here? Or do you have to bring it, or does it matter? And so you can answer that and talk about it.
The idea is, the way it works is that we get a list of children, their age and their gender, and some suggestions for like clothing sizes, what kinds of things they might like. There are there's whole families, so if you wanted to, get the gifts for every child in a family, you could do that. And the idea is you'll make one gift per child, just one, and to not spend more than $30, because if random children get picked and they're all in the same family and one kid gets an iPad and the other kid gets a baseball bat, that's a little odd for that child. So the idea is we want to keep it to around $30 per gift, and that kind of keeps it mostly on an even keel for all the children. So you'll get on the form is an electronic form. Thank you, Keith, for setting that up. And it'll have all the information, and just click on that, and then in your email you'll get what you picked and all the information. So the question is about Amazon. The challenge with that is that we will not know all the information. So when you have the gift back, you're going to need to give the gift back here with the information about the child, so that when we're wrapping it, we know where it goes. So that might be challenging if you just have it sent here. That's actually a really good question. So the answer is no, have it sent to your house, and then make sure you put the information on it about that child. Does that make sense? Are there any other questions about this?
The only way is to do it by email.
Right, we only have an electronic version of it because since we have people here in the person, and we have, thank you for all your people out there, so it's all it's electronic. So I can work with you, John, and figure that out. So let's meet after service, okay? Any other questions about this? And you can also email us if you have questions. But anyway, thank you in advance. And thank you to Sally and Mike, our Caring Cottage team, for spearheading this. We're going to get 50 children this year. Can we do it? 50 children, guys. That's amazing. It's more than we've ever done, I think. So, yay! We're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Edie. All right, so we also have our upcoming Spiritual Practice of Anti-Racism group that is going to be meeting on Thursday, December 2nd at 7 p.m. on Zoom, facilitated by our board president, Kathy Daniels, and Edie Crane. So there's information in the newsletter to log on to that class. And our Thanksgiving celebration is going to be a little different this year. So we're asking that you write a little bit about what you're thankful for and drop it in the box in the back of the sanctuary, and we'll create a bulletin board in the hallway for Thanksgiving. And then another exciting opportunity coming up is our Christmas decorating on Saturday, November 28th at 10 a.m. So we'll deck the halls and make it feel merry and bright around here. So hopefully folks can make it out to help out with that. And wanted to also remind everyone that our prayer chaplains are here in the sanctuary with us today. So we have Sharon and Morzende, I hope I'm saying it right, here available to pray with you through affirmative prayer. And now we'll take a moment and center ourselves for today's daily word. The daily word today is grace. Grace is my constant blessing. I discover grace all around me when I open my eyes, my mind, and my heart to its presence. Grace reminds me that God's love is active everywhere and at every moment. Grace can be as quiet as a whisper. It's in the love I hear in the voice of someone dear, and in the warmth and tenderness of a comforting touch. Grace is in the heartfelt welcome I receive when invited into a friend's home. It's the bliss I feel when I know I truly belong. God is the heart of all grace, as goodness and kindness in action, always mine to receive and give in kind. My growing awareness inspires me to share this activity of God generously by calling it into expression. And now we'll go into some music.
How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Needed the shelter of someone's arms, and there you were. I needed someone to understand my ups and downs, and there you were. With sweet love and devotion, deeply touching my emotion. Yeah, I wanna stop and thank you, baby. I just wanna stop and thank you, baby. How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. I close my eyes at night, wondering where I'd be without you in my life. Everything I did was just a bore. Everything I wanted seems I've been there before. But you brightened up for me all of my days, with love so sweet in so many ways. I wanna stop and thank you, baby. I just wanna stop and thank you, baby. How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. For me than I was for myself. For me there's you and there's nobody else. I wanna stop and thank you, baby. I just wanna stop and thank you, baby. Shoot, shoot, better, shoot, better. Shoot, better, shoot, better. Shoot better, shoot better. How sweet it is to be loved by you.
Thank you. So here we are, Thanksgiving 2021, and some of you might have some fascinating memories of Thanksgiving 2020, right? Since the pandemic rolled in, this might be the first Thanksgiving where there may be more of a semblance of the way it was in terms of large gatherings. Many people are vaccinated. It's like we feeling safe to get back together. And unfortunately, what it means is that for some of us, we can no longer use the pandemic as the excuse for not showing up. Sorry, can't make it. Pandemic. How many people are going to be there? 50? No, that's too many. How can we social distance in a house that small, right? So for some of us, the pandemic was actually a little bit of a, let's just call it what it is. It was an excuse to avoid sometimes these sort of holiday gatherings that for some of us might be a little awkward. Because, we can't choose our family. For better or for worse, we can't choose our family members. Even worse, we can't choose what all our family members choose to believe. Right? So sometimes we make these agreements about showing up for Thanksgiving. Here's what we don't talk about, and here's the list, and then we all just sit around in awkward silence. Right? Until, invariably, either there's too much wine or too much dessert or too much boredom, and then somebody says something, and then there we go. All right? So often, many of us we tend to avoid, and it could be discussions around anything, right? So that list of things we don't talk about. We don't talk about politics, right? We don't necessarily talk about religion, because it might be different people rolling in with different beliefs. We might not even talk much about the pandemic, because you might have some family members who, yes, let's get vaccinated, boosted, and still wear a mask, and then we get others who are not. Let's just say not. Okay, so there's that. Then there, discussions maybe even just about history, right? Real history, actual history versus preferred history. Let's just call it that. Preferred history, right? Even the history around Thanksgiving itself. So for example, when we think about Thanksgiving, I don't know, my clicker's not working, but there we go, right? This image look familiar? Then it does. Then it does. How about this one? Does this also look familiar? Right? So for many, many, many decades in American history, we sort of equated this with the first Thanksgiving that happened, right? This is pretty much all wrong. Okay, the painting itself is wrong. First of all, the Native Americans sitting in that portrait are painted in the garb and headdress of Western Plain Indians. This happened on the East Coast, Plymouth. So they didn't look like that. So first, that's wrong. Second of all, what is sort of in the ballpark is that, yes, the Pilgrims, or the story we've been told is that the Pilgrims came and now, granted, I didn't grow up here in the U.S. I grew up in Barbados. So I got this story a lot later. But the story that I got, which was repeated to me by people who did grow up here, was that what they learned in school was that the Pilgrims had trouble when they landed, when they were in Plymouth, and they had trouble growing their crops and all that, and then Native Americans came and helped them out, and then they were able to grow crops, and then they had a feast celebrating together. That is a really loose interpretation of what happened, right? And it says that this happened in 1621. First of all, Thanksgiving celebrations, harvest celebrations among the settlers date all the way back to early 1600. So they're happening way before that. This group that was in Plymouth were actually there also before 1621, but there was this one winter that was particularly bad, yes, wiped out half of them. So they didn't have this great harvest coming in. But what was also interesting about this place in the Patuxent region was that all the Native Americans were pretty much wiped out because of disease. So they actually didn't have anyone to turn to. Someone, a Native American from another tribe, saw that they were in trouble and asked the one remaining Patuxent Native American, the one last remaining, to help him out. This last remaining one, incidentally, was actually one who was enslaved previously. He was taken to Europe, he came back, and he was able to speak English and help the settlers out. So he showed them how to harvest eels and grow corn and so on, and they were able to survive. But they didn't have a celebration like this till about 3 years after that. Here's the other fun piece about this. When they finally decided to have a celebration, guess who they did not invite? The Native Americans. They just had a celebration for themselves. And they were such in a celebratory mood, and they were happy, and they were shooting their guns off. And the Native Americans heard the gunfire and go, oh, something must be wrong. Let's go see. And then they showed up. And then it was like our modern Thanksgiving's really awkward when the family member who we didn't invite showed up. And they were like, so good to see you, come on in. And share the meal with us. I didn't make up that part. That actually happened. They did not invite the Native Americans to their celebration. Yeah. actual history versus preferred history, right? Just around this. We're going to go to you might go to Thanksgiving celebrations this week and talking about stuff that's happened. You might be talking about, certain court case that just got wrapped up, or maybe another one that's ongoing, and you might have opposing views. And you're probably like, oh, God, give me strength. We don't believe in the God out there, but sometimes our family makes us pray to the God out there. Right? So what do we do? What do we do? As the Apostle Paul says, a little wine for thy stomach's sake. Sure, we can drink, or we can realize that all these opportunities are invitations for us. Invitations for us to grow, to heal, and connect. But we got to do a lot of prep work. Don't just go in figuring you already know how to handle it. You got to do some prep work. But before I get to the prep work, I forgot to mention one thing. Speaking of Native Americans, this happens to be Native American Heritage Month. And we hadn't mentioned that before. I thought today might be an appropriate day to mention this since Native American folklore sort of rolled into the Thanksgiving story, however inaccurate it is. And if you're looking for an opportunity to do something around this, and it happens to be the week where a lot of us are going to be food focused, there's this great organization called the Native American Food Sovereignty Alliance. And they're the business of advocating and supporting all levels of food security and food sovereignty in local, tribal, regional, national, and international arenas. nativefoodalliance.org. Make a note, check them out. And what we mean by food sovereignty really is basically the right of anyone to have healthy food, to have food that is culturally appropriate for them, and food that is produced through sound, ecological, and sustainable methods. It is the anti-corporate food movement. Many of us, our food is connected to a corporation, to non-sustainable production, and it really ain't that good for us either. But for many areas, that's the only option people have, and there's been a growing movement. There's always been a movement, but now there's even more of a highlight on it, on food sustainability and food sovereignty. So if that's a term that's new for you, please do some deep diving when you get home. And also ask yourselves, by looking at your pantry, where's my food coming from? Who is it supporting? How is it nourishing me as well? So check them out, the Native American, what's it called? Food Sovereignty Alliance. And maybe this is something you can, bring to your Thanksgiving celebration as an invitation for everyone to get on board with as well. But when we go to these gatherings, when we're with family of, I like to say family of blood, not necessarily of choice, if we choose to go, the prep work we have to realize is that when we, and this may not apply to everyone, of course, I'm painting with a broad brush here, but if it does, and if it doesn't still apply this to any situation where you're going in and you may encounter people and ideas and beliefs that run counter to yours, to realize that as things come up, you will be triggered. And the trigger is an invitation, again, to growth, healing, and connection. Because a trigger, it shows you, if you let it, it takes you to those places within you where healing needs to occur. We're triggered because there's a wound there. We're triggered because there's a belief that's being challenged. We're triggered because we wish there was a different experience. And anytime we are wishing that there is a different experience in that moment, then we're pushing against acceptance. We're pushing against acceptance. And that leads to both inner and outer conflicts. Now, acceptance doesn't mean agreement. I'll say that again. Acceptance doesn't mean agreement. Acceptance means here's what's coming up in me now. Here's what's coming up in that person. And if we truly want to be the embodiment of love, where's the middle ground between us? Where's the middle ground between us? And we can't find that middle ground if we are in an agitated state. Okay? If we're all worked up, there's no way we're going to find middle ground with that other person. And you're probably thinking, I got some relatives I know I will never find middle ground on. You have to remember, beneath all our beliefs, we are the same. Beneath all our beliefs, the stories we've been told about ourselves, the stories we've been told about each other, the stories we've been told about the world. Beneath all of that, we are the same. We are souls in bodies desiring love and connection. That's who we are. And unfortunately, we've gotten to a place where we've so divided ourselves into groups and tribes that we feel we can only get that between people in our group and tribes, and therefore we exclude everyone else. That's a very limited, disconnected view, and it's also not true. So the prep work to be able to be in a place where you know there will be opposing views or people who don't necessarily see the world the same way as you are, and how to begin to find middle ground is first, you got to do your prep work. First, your prep work starts way before you get there. Okay? Way before you get there. And that's self-care. That is self-care. You can't wait till you are in the place of conflict to go, how do I find peace within myself? You got to learn to find peace within yourself way before it happens. You know, for a lot of us, for me, a lot of times, when things are going well, a lot of my spiritual practices fall to the wayside. I maybe don't meditate as much. I maybe don't take care of myself as much because things are going well, so I can just relax, right? This is actually the time where you need to double down on your practices because things are going well. You don't have a lot to deal with. That's when you should be doing more meditating. That's when you should be doing more journaling. That's when you should be doing whatever your spiritual self-care practices are. Do it. You're sort of fortifying yourself during those times. And then when you get triggered, remember the triggering is happening at different levels, right? There's mind, there's body, and there's spirit. That's who we are. We're mind, body, and spirit. And when I say mind, I'm referring to like emotions that come up, like anger and fear. And you can feel it in your body, right? When you get triggered, you feel tightness. Some of you in your gut, your chest, tightening your chest, your throat, And we sort of already know when this happens, right? Because when someone says something that we don't necessarily agree with, or we know we're going to end up in a place with maybe some family members who we know are going to be trouble, right? I don't know about you guys, but right away in me, there's this almost visceral this, right? There's like this piece of me that wants to extend an energetic shield around me. There's a piece of me that in many ways puts up defenses already, okay? And then there's a fun reflex I think many of us have when we hear something, we do this. Right? We take that deep breath because we know if we don't breathe deep, we're going to say something we might regret. So many of us already got that conditioned pattern. That's actually a really, really good response. Why? Because it helps settle us into our bodies. It helps soothe our bodies. It's a great soothing technique. And you do this in public, you're going to get some strange looks. But it's okay. That might actually help diffuse the whole situation. in addition to taking a deep breath, actually humming and rocking and swaying. Humming and swaying. Some people may look at you weird. Sort of like the looks I'm getting now. That's okay. Can you remember when is the first time you swayed and felt a hum? When was that? When you were a baby in somebody's arms, and they were humming and they were rocking you. And it was probably the most comforting thing. You don't remember it up here, but trust me, your body remembers it. Breathing, humming, and swaying. That settles your body. And you cannot respond from a place of wholeheartedness if your body is not settled first. Most of us think it starts here and then this follows. It starts here and this follows. And it happens so fast, we think it's starting up here. But no, it's starting in our body. So we gotta learn how to recognize that. Even when you come here on Sundays and somebody may say something that triggers you, what you gonna do? You gotta settle in the body. So for example, here's the thing I'm gonna say. All right? Everybody take a breath. Let's start settling now. Get that humming sound in your head and prepare to sway. Okay, so as you know, this week the county reinstated its indoor mask mandate. So a funny thing happened before that. The board got together and said, you know what? We think regardless of what the county's saying, we're going to reinstate the mask mandate for our church. And we're going to do this because we know there are folks who are coming to church who are vaccine boosted and being safe, and we know there are folks who are coming to church who are not vaccinated or wearing masks. And one of the things that we are very clear about is that this needs to be a safe space. And by the way, safety is not relative or a matter of opinion. Safety is a fact. And as the board and minister, as your leadership body, your stewards, caretakers of the community, we got to make those choices for the safety of the whole, not the comfort of the few. So we decided we were going to do that, and we were busy working on crafting the statement and sharing it and how we're going to deliver it, and then the county rolled in. And on some levels, there was that collective like, okay, we don't got to say nothing now. We don't got to say nothing. We don't got to worry about making somebody upset. We don't got to, I was like, no, we have to still share this information because someday the county is going to lift this mandate again, and we might be going through this cycle of lifting and bringing back and lifting and bringing back. You know, we're going to be on this roller coaster for a while. I don't know about you guys and the last time you rode a roller coaster, but last time I rode a roller coaster, there was bars that kept me safe. So we got to do things to keep us safe. And for some of us, that might be a bit of a trigger, right? Because I don't know about you, but we're all tired of wearing the masks. We are. You know, I'm the fortunate one. I get to stand far from you, and for about 20 minutes, I don't have to wear one. But this is where we are. So take that in and notice what comes up in you as you hear that. There may be a sense of relief because this is where you've always been and what you always thought. For some of you, it may not be. For some of you, you may go in again to celebrations with your family. You know there are people who are showing up who may or may not be vaccinated. It's a whole thing. Your workplace, I don't know, whatever it is. How do we walk in embracing the fullness of the presence that we are and still handle what comes up for us emotionally? Again, it begins with settling the body. Settling the body. The acceptance that, yes, this is a situation, but also the acceptance that this is an invitation for me. And realize also that sometimes our regular spiritual tools may not work. How many of you do tap-in? You know tap-in? How many of you have done tap-in? Yeah. So you may be in a situation where you do your tap-in exercise and you feel calm. And then you go to Thanksgiving with your family, and no matter how hard you hit that point, you're going to be all bruised. You hitting that point, and it's not happening. It's not happening. Sometimes what we normally do doesn't work because sometimes those triggers are bigger. So we got to notice that. And again, notice what is it really deep down that is causing this. There's nothing out there that's causing it. It's all in here, the source of the discontent. So it's an invitation again to examine, what is it that I believe? What is it that I am attached to? What is it that I expect? Have I communicated those expectations? Am I truly, really upset with myself because I put myself in this situation that I knew I wouldn't be happy in, but for some reason I felt like I had to? Did I come to this gathering out of obligation? Is it okay not to? Where are my boundaries? These are all questions we get to ask ourselves. Am I more concerned about what others may say about me than about what I hold true about myself? And sometimes, also, it's an invitation to realize that even though there's really no right or wrong, we may not have handled it the best. And part of that journey towards middle ground is realizing that we get to be the one who first make amends. That we are the ones who first have to say, I may not agree with what you said or your belief, but what I know to be true is that ultimately we want the same thing. We want to be loved, we want to be connected, and we want to be safe with each other. Perhaps that's where our middle ground starts. Perhaps that's how we begin to return to love, and not love the emotional, wishy-washy feeling. Love as that energy that connects and harmonizes. UNI's co-founder, Charles Romo, talks about love as a great harmonizer, which brings into harmony, which brings that which was separated back together. That's what love is, the journey that allows that to happen, the energy that holds us together. We are in a time, and I swear every time we say we are in a time that is more polarized and divided than ever. And this time it may be true. I mean, there was this whole Civil War thing. That was a whole thing. Underneath it all, we want to be loved. We want connection. We want to be accepted for who we are. And that journey begins with us. So no matter what you're doing this week, for Thanksgiving or later for Christmas or New Year's, if you decide to gather with others, if you decide to gather with friends who you know won't be sources of agitation for you, or you decide to gather with family who you know will be sources of irritation, agitation for you. I'm giving you this talk now because at Christmas I'm going home to Barbados to visit my family. And I will be replaying this talk. Before I leave, while I'm on the plane, maybe a couple times while I'm there. My prep work has already begun. Because I love those people with my whole heart and soul. Man, do they get on my nerves. Love you, Mom, in case you're watching. But it's true. It's true. But that's my invitation to heal, to forgive, to love not because of, but in spite of. And that's who we're called to be. Let's take this in a meditation. So if you're comfortable, I invite you to close the eyes, plant both feet on the floor, take a deep breath. And again, let's connect with the body, first and foremost. Let's breathe and settle. And yes, in this moment, if gently swaying from side to side helps, do that. No one will see you. We all got our eyes closed. We've heard it said that peace begins with me. More specifically, peace begins with an embodied experience of peace, of settling, of being in this moment, of breathing, of bringing alignment of body and heart and mind and soul. Knowing that what we are called to do is to show up as the presence of that which we seek to experience. So should we seek an experience of peace and harmony, of love, of safety, we be that. We seek an experience of a world that works for all. Let us too be that in our actions, in our words. Let us remember that in the midst of all, I am. In the midst of all, I am. Let us center on that affirmation for a few moments in the silence. In the midst of all, I am. In the midst of all, I am. In the midst of all does not require my silence or my agreement. It requires centered presence. In the midst of all, I am. And so it is.
Thank you for being a friend. Traveled down a road and back again. My heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. I'm not ashamed to say, I hope it always will stay this way. My hat is off. Won't you stand up and take a bow? And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, well, you would see the biggest gift from me is a card attached would say, thank you for being a friend. 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 If it's a car you lack, I'll surely buy you a Cadillac. Whatever you need, any time of the day or night. I'm not ashamed to say, I hope it always will stay this way. My hat is off. Won't you stand up and take a bow? And when we both get older, with walking canes and hairs of gray, have no fear, even though it's hard to hear. I will stand real close and say thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend.
I wanna thank you.
Thank you for being a friend.
I wanna thank you.
Thank you for being a friend.
I wanna thank you.
Being a friend.
I wanna thank you.
Thank you for being a friend.
I wanna thank you.
Thank you for being a friend.
Wanna thank you.
Thank you for being a friend.
Thank you. That was fantastic. Of course, taking me back to Golden Girls.
Yeah.
So now we'll start our tithes and offerings. And maybe you can go to the next slide. So there's a box in the back that we can use for our tithes and offerings, or you can also donate on our website or text the number that is shown on the screen. So we can say our love offering blessing together. Divine love, I am, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am so grateful.
Bringing our kids, walking as the light. We are walking as the light of God. We are walking as the light of God. We are walking as the light of God. Yeah.
All right, say,
I am a light in the world.
I live as the light.
I live in the light.
And now tell them, you are the light of the world.
I am lighter ever world.
That'll work too.
And together we're going to say, you guys say, you are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. You live as the light. And congregation, please join us.
We are the light of the world.
We live as
As always, the Youth and Family Department is looking for some volunteers, just remember. And don't you want to have some fun with all this energy? Yes, yes, you do. Let us stand and sing the peace song. We will not form a circle, just stand where you are. We're gonna, as we move forward, just keep ourselves a little better distance than rather forming a close-knit circle. But feel free to energetically lift those hands, share with us. Let there be peace on earth.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us, and wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Amen, 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 amen,
Wishing you all a happy Thanksgiving. Go be the love.